What's up, family? It's another one for the century, man. We good?
For sure.
Get the viewers, provide the viewers. What's up, guys? It's your boy Corn. I'm back with another Fuel by Pain podcast. What's up, guys? It's your boy, Mr. FBP Worldwide, and today I have an amazing co-host here to talk to you about, man, Black history, but also the excellence, the powerness behind it, man. So not only introducing Dr. Black, and also give us a little insight about yourself, man, what you do, how did you get here? You know, your Black excellence.
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, I'm extremely ecstatic to be here. Thank you for having me here on this podcast, on this amazing podcast. And I would say I am professor of African American Studies at Clark Atlanta University. I've been here 32 years now. I am a writer, I'm a public speaker, I'm a novelist, I'm a teacher, I'm a spiritualist. I help to lead a rites of passage organization here in Atlanta. I love God and I love Black people.
Man, look, you see, this is why I want him on the podcast, man. When he came and spoke at Albany State University, it's crazy because I actually recorded a clip that next morning when I was going to the gym. I never dropped it, but I'll be sure to add that in the podcast. But I was talking about your speech, man, and how you said we should stray away from calling each other niggas and bitches.
Yes.
Oh my God, can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yes, you know, those terms never exalt us. Those terms never lift us up. Those terms never make us honor each other. Those terms never make us believe in each other. Those terms never make us glorify one another. I have noticed anytime we use those terms, even when we're thinking we're doing it in an affirming way,
yes, sir.
Right? It's never ever in a way that's teaching us to believe we're divine. Right, and that's who we really should be reaching for. We should be reaching for what it means for us to believe we're divine against what America teaches and what America says, and we should absolutely be looking for words that agree with our divinity.
Yes, sir.
See, words like nigga, bitch, you know, those words came from a people who meant to degrade us. Those words came from a people who meant to demean us. And the question really, brother, is not just can those terms be terms of endearment? The real question is, why do we want them?
Why do you think we want them? Why do you think my generation and the generation before me are adapting so quickly to those words?
Because I think that our imagination was as enslaved as our bodies. And I think it's hard for people to imagine and even to create new terms that would make us believe that we have the right and the agency to create words even if we need to.
Yes,
right?
Sir.
That would bespeak the way we see each other and our own beauty. For us to think we need to use the derogatory terms that white enslavers use and to quote unquote flip it, right? To then turn that word on its head, right? To make it mean something affirming. The fact that we're even trying to do that really shows how much we love whiteness. Because quite frankly, I don't need a white man's old derogatory terms when I look you, brother, in the face and when I want to tell you how much I appreciate you, how much I glorify you, how much I magnify you. I don't need those words. I can think of some words in my head, or I could create some.
Yes, sir.
Right? When I think of you as cosmic, you know, my cosmic brother, what's happening, you know, or to tell you, you know, what's up, King of Kings? See, that feels better to me, right?
Yes,
nigga always carries the stain of degradation, and it also always carries the stain of domination. It always means, and the same word that seemingly is going to exalt you, as soon as I get mad at you, I can call you the same word. That means something's wrong.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with it. Yeah. And so what I'm excited about is the possibility for us to create something new that white folks never heard of, and most of us have never heard of, that begins to tell the story of who we are, and that bespeaks the way in which I imagine you as divine. I don't think we imagine each other divine. I think we imagine other people divine. I think we tolerate each other as Black people.
How do we get to safe spaces or spaces where the likeness of us all comes together as one? And I know you spoke about how you actually don't believe we should come together as one, how we should be living on our own, floundering on our own. So can you elaborate on that as well?
I definitely think that Black people need community. I definitely think we need coherence. And I definitely think that we should always come together. I absolutely believe that. What I also believe that I think is extremely, extremely, extremely important is that we've got to come together on our own terms. That's the catch. It's got to be on our own terms. And we have to be unafraid to love each other out loud. We have to be unafraid to love each other thoroughly and completely. And even as men, we've got to be unafraid to love each other, regardless of what people might say, regardless of what people might think, and regardless of our own inhibitions, right? Regardless of our own, what's the word I want? Regardless of our own troubled history.
Yes, sir.
Right? Even something as simple as I can't be afraid to touch you as my brother. That's supposed to be a beautiful thing, right? But most brothers are afraid to touch each other except in greeting or in beating.
He's speaking, ain't you? Man, we ain't even got into the questions of the podcast.
Listen. I don't know what we're gonna do on this podcast.
Oh my gosh, this is what we need, though, man.
Yes, sir.
This is what young Black men like myself need spoken into them. They need somebody telling them they are kings of kings.
Yes.
How much of that? Think about it. How often does a young Black man get called a king, truly? Yeah. And I mean genuinely.
And how often does a Black man touch him, to nurture him, to love him, not to beat him, not to whoop his ass? How often does a grown Black man touch the average young brother? I mean, just in saying, hey, youngster, I got you. Hey, I believe in you. I celebrate you. I glorify you. How often does a 25-year-old young person get a Black man who lays hands upon him and prays for him? How often does that happen? You know, that's a deep thing for most of us to go our whole lives, and the only time we were touched is when we were in trouble. Yeah. And we have to turn that around. The healing of, I have argued that we could get most young brothers out of prison, out of incarceration, if we would touch them.
It changes lives, man.
They're so untouched, and really their soul is angry. They don't know it, but their soul is angry from the neglect of the touch of their elders.
And I'm blown away already. I mean, like, stomach drop. I'm getting goosebumps over here just thinking about what life could have been for a lot of young people. Even myself, who truly received like that certain nurturing, and not just from moms, but from pops as well.
Absolutely.
Think about how many young men who grow up without a father influencing their lives, and they have to find those.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely.
It makes the world go round, man.
Yeah.
But all right, let's we don't dive real deep, man. Let's get into the podcast. God dang.
I thought we was in it. We not in the podcast.
We definitely are. I'm talking about the questions, man. That's crazy. But so the first topic of the Black History Month podcast was speaking about Emmett Till. So I grabbed some questions about Emmett Till. Let's get on with it. Okay, so. In your opinion, what made Emmett Till murder a turning point in American history?
The fact that the trial and the funeral was televised. That's really the turning point. Because many kids have been killed before. You know, Black people have been killed before 1955. But the fact that it was so nationalized and really made international through the media, and again, television then, was really coming kind of into its own as the newest media craze at the time. And because of television, the news of Emmett Till and what happened to Emmett Till could be broadcast literally around the world. And that's what happened.
Yes, sir.
Right. And because of that, there were people all over the world who got behind Mamie Till to try to bring some justice to her son. There were folk all over the universe who were trying hard to support black folks, black and white people, who were trying hard to support black people in terms of getting justice for Emmett Till and lending their support to trying to change the condition of black people in America. And I really, really believe that it was that kind of large reach of the media that had never really happened before, that really made this murder something that pretty much the consciousness of the universe beheld.
Yeah, I read that it was on Jet Magazine, man.
Jet Magazine,
So,
yes.
How do you think the support of Jet Magazine to push it out help, grasp for the people to know that this actually exists? This ain't no folktale. Like, what's going on?
At the time, Jet Magazine was kind of black people's commercial Bible, right? People got Jet Magazine to learn about black history, to learn about black culture, and quite frankly, especially a lot of young boys, to see the latest centerfold.
What's centerfold?
In Jet Magazine, every Jet issue had a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful black woman in the middle, and most of them, this is true, and on most of the pictures, it carried her measurements, like 20, 36, 25, 36, and so most boys I know, including yours truly, we would grab the Jet Magazine because we wanted to see what this sister looked like, But what was beautiful is, of course, it showed and it celebrated black women and black women's bodies, and black women's forms. What's also true is that Jet was very committed to teaching black people who they are and teaching black people their history. And so when Jet Magazine ran not just the story of Emmett Till, but actually the picture of Emmett Till's horrified, emaciated body, his emaciated face, it changed the world. Because it planted in black people the very, very, very real truth. And it jarred black people's consciousness of what America would do, not just to black people, but to black children. Right. And I believe that it was the culminating event that made black people say, all right, no more. We've got to do something now. And of course, a few months later, the Montgomery bus boycott kicks off in Montgomery, Alabama. And, everything else is history from there.
Yes, sir.
But I think Jet Magazine absolutely played its role in shaping the consciousness of black people about the murder of a black child and what it meant to us.
Yes, sir. Speaking about Montgomery and the boycott, I instantly thought about something I actually sent you. I don't know if you had the time amongst your busy schedule to look at it, but I sent you a document about how there's been in the media about Martin Luther King being a prop. I don't know if you've been seeing that.
I've read about that before.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know if I really have a lot of thoughts about it. Because what they're ultimately saying is, they just use Martin Luther King,
yes, sir.
So to speak. And they may have. And it might have been a smart thing to do. So even if they did use him as a prop, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Because Martin Luther King had a little clout. He came from a family with a little clout. He had a bit of name behind himself, etc. And Martin Luther King was a newcomer and stranger to Montgomery. That's very important. So he didn't have roots in Montgomery like everyone else. And he didn't have to live there, right? But there were other folks like E.D. Nixon, like Joanne Robinson, and, like Rosa Parks and others who were from Montgomery, who lived there, who had deep roots there. And they were the real backbone of the Montgomery bus boycott. Martin Luther King certainly lended his voice, lended his narrative power.
Yes, sir.
Right, and it was very useful. But the real strength behind the boycott was the local folks in Montgomery.
That's powerful. See, you spreading knowledge on me that I didn't know in the first place. But we see things in the media, and a lot of times my generation, and like I say, the generation after me and before me, take notice of these things. So as soon as I saw it, I just wanted to know what your opinion on that was.
Yes, sir.
In your opinion, how does historical trauma continue to affect black men psychologically today?
Well, I think the first problem for me is we have claimed white people's trauma as our own. We have accepted white people's behavior as a part of black identity. And what I mean by that, brother, is we keep claiming aspects of European history as black history. For example, slavery is not black history. We study it like it is, but slavery is not black history.
Expound on that for me.
We didn't own no plantations. We didn't bring workers here to work on a plantation. So why would we claim that as our own? That didn't belong to us. Slavery is white people's history. That's American history. They owned the plantations. They brought us on the boat. They owned the boats. They were working the plantations. They bought the workers to bring to the plantation. Why would we claim that as our history? Slavery is a European conceived and perpetuated evil. That's not ours. There is some black history infused in it, though. What is black history is the way black people got together and created songs in the middle of a field in order to tell the story of how they survived it. We call them spirituals. That's black history. Slavery, though, is not black history. That's white people's history. Black history is the way in which we took scraps that they threw away and created delicacies from those scraps. They threw away old bread. We took it and created a thing called dressing. Come on now. I'm talking.
Hold on now. Hold on now.
Hold
on now.
I don't know a black person who don't want it. That's black history. Right. Beating us is white people's history. Selling us is white people's history. Raping our women and our men, that's white people's history. But if we're not careful, we carry it as if that is our history, and as if, you know, we say, well, the trauma of slavery upon us. The trauma of slavery is on white people. The trauma of slavery is not on black people. The trauma of slavery is on white people. But since we own it as if this happened to us because of us, we're carrying somebody else's trauma. And we really need to give white people their trauma back.
Dr. Black, how do we give it back?
First of all, we need to change what we write in history, and we need to change some of the history books. We need to say, Middle Passage, European history, not African history.
Then we spend too much time learning the Atlantic slave trade and all that.
It's really the white supremacist slave trade. That's what it should be called. Because that's who's doing the trading. That's who's doing it. If I rape you, you spend a lifetime thinking of yourself as a rapist. That's crazy. And then you're going to name your children after me? Let's turn off this podcast and let's go to the house, man, because this is crazy, man.
Jeez Louise. This is what
That's
we need,
crazy.
though. This is what we need.
But that's what if I name my child after the man who raped me, now the rape becomes part of my children's legacy. Wrong name. And most of us have the wrong name. We have the name of the same people who despised us. And we've been trying to figure out why self-love is hard to come by.
Man, the world needs black men like you. Literally.
Yes, sir. And you, sir. Absolutely.
Literally, oh my gosh. Chills is running through my body with this conversation, man. I love history. I love learning about it. But, man, I'm doing a little bit of both in here.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
learning. I'm growing.
Yes.
I'm taking it all in, man. And also, Ali, speaking about the Negro spirituals, man, how did Negro spirituals function as coded resistance during slavery?
Well, the first thing is I believe our ancestors chose to put our story in the music because, number one, we governed the music as black people. We governed the music during the antebellum period. We sang it, we wrote it, we performed it, right? We were the keepers of melody during the antebellum years. Number two, I think our ancestors believed that if they put our story in the music, their children and their children's children would never lose it. Because then music becomes part of the inheritance of a people, right? We've always been a people who understood the power of melody, the power of music, right? Because when really, music is really African people trying to mimic the sounds of nature, right? Anyway, the point here I'm making
Ain't no
is
anyway, Lord Jesus.
man. The point here is that I believe our ancestors used the medium of music because they believed that black children would always have it as an inheritance. But they coded much of the language because we were singing these songs in front of white people, in front of white captors, in front of slave owners, etc. So they did the trick of the trickster, if you will, and that is they sang one thing, but they meant something else. They created what we call, the double tongue narrative. And they knew it, of course. But we do it now. We do it all the time. Right now, as black people, we do it all the time. We just don't announce it.
What is the double tone narrative?
The double tone narrative is when I'm saying one thing, but I mean something else. Right? But those of us who are on the inside, if you will, we know both narratives. We know both tongues. Like, if a gorgeous woman walks in this room, we don't say, my God, that's a gorgeous woman. A gorgeous woman might walk in the room and we be like,
Yeah.
See, you get it. You see? You're already on the inside. Yeah. This is how this happens. Right? Or we might say, ooh, God is good.
Yeah.
We're not really talking about God. See? It sounds like somebody else we're talking about God. We're not really talking about God. Absolutely. In fact, we're not talking about God at all.
Absolutely.
Right. But you would know that, and I would know that. Because our parents, we're the inheritors of the double tongue tradition. Right? We have a friend who works at McDonald's. We go to the drive-thru, right? We say, I want a Big Mac, order fries, and a Coke. Our friend who's working the drive-thru hears our voice. They know it's us. Go around, we get 3 orders of fries in the bag.
Right.
It's because they knew it was us. They might say, okay, let me read your order back to you. Right. You said you wanted 3 orders of fries, 2 hamburgers. See?
Extra.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm saying that started out on enslavement because it was the underdog trying to figure out how to win when, according to circumstances, we were supposed to lose. Right. Our goal was, I'm going to win if ain't but 1% chance. Because with me and God together, you don't need but 1% chance. Even if 99% chance is against you, no problem. That 1% plus God is enough. Is enough to win. And our ancestors knew, and so they're singing still away, still away. What they meant was run away, run away. Why? Woo! Because when I run away, I'm stealing myself from somebody who thinks they own me. Ain't got long to stay here. Folks thought they were talking about going to heaven. That's why the song worked. That's why it's a double tongue. Most of these spirituals sound like they were talking about heaven, weren't ever talking about heaven. They were talking about getting the hell out of here and getting north to the land of freedom. As I tell people all the time, swing low, sweet chariot. We know what swing low, sweet Harriet. Because she was in Maryland and they wanted her to swing low, which means come further, come deeper south. Most of the spirituals do this. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. See, it sounds like we're talking about the Egyptian story of Pharaoh and Moses. We're not talking about the Egyptian story, but it sounds like that to white folks. And that works because they believe in this thing called the Bible. What we're saying is, go down, Transformers, these black people. Tell these crackers to let my people go. That's what we're really saying. It's over and over and over. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of spirituals. Many of the spirituals have the double tongue nature. The problem now is because we were taught by the enemy, because we went to the enemy school, they didn't teach us the art of the double tongue nature. They didn't teach us to listen to our ancestors' voice and to hear the levels of what our ancestors were saying to us in these songs. It's because we went to the school of the enemy. Listen, if the gazelles go to the Lions Academy, turn this off.
Oh my gosh, man.
Turn this off. I'm done. I can't do
this. This getting too deep, man.
If the gazelles go to the Lion Academy, The Lion Academy is not going to teach the gazelles how to hop high and far. It's going to teach Roar 101.
Absolutely.
But since gazelles don't roar, what's going? Ooh!
Somebody teaching. Somebody is teaching and somebody's being taught.
You're gonna get gazelles now who are. They went to the wrong school. They went to the enemy school. They went to the enemy school.
And that's life.
And the great leaps and the great hops that a gazelle is supposed to do. Now the gazelle walks.
It doesn't work.
They've given up their inheritance in order to become more like the lion, because it's the Lion's Academy whose applause they're trying to get. They're trying to get a degree from that institution, which is why HBCs have been so important. HBCUs have been so important, and even teaching Black history at HBCUs, because ultimately what we're trying to do now is get the gazelle clear that yes, you're on the menu for the lion. You are. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, the lion is supposed to be the king of the jungle. All that's true. But the gazelle can win if the gazelle understands the majesty of who the gazelle is. And if you use your agency, and if you understand, hey, gazelle, you can leap 50 feet that the lion would have to run in order to catch you. What most people don't understand is 90% of the time that a lion chases a gazelle, the lion tires before they catch the gazelle. The lion loses most of the time. But if the gazelle is going to try to outroar the lion,
and that's the same way of life.
That's exactly. And what we're trying to do in America is we're trying to beat white folks at their own game of evil. But we really shouldn't even be in the game, because I'm not trying to be evil. I'm trying to be like God. And I don't have to have the material things that America is offering in order for me to feel good about myself. I don't have to have the cars. I don't have to have the houses. I don't have to have the riches. I don't have to have those things in order for me to believe that my degree was worth it. Because the truth of the matter is that an education is not for money. Right? I don't believe, and I could be wrong, I don't believe Harriet Tubman ran all those times in order for me to have a BMW.
So many Black men, I said young earlier, but hey man, it's more than that. So many Black men need conversations like this. It is not to be unruly. It's not because we don't love our counterparts. I have God white parents. I love them to death. But we also need to have conversations like this to know our history, to know where we come from, to know where we adapted from. That doesn't mean that anyone should be shouted upon, but everybody should be doing the things for themselves to instill that greatness into themselves that our ancestors looked at when they saw a future for us. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Your thought process. What responsibility do Black writers carry in preserving historical truth?
I believe that Black writers not only have a responsibility, but I think we have a very sacred responsibility, because I believe that nothing is more powerful than the word, right? I think nothing is more powerful than the word. Words have the power. Words have the ability to heal. Words have the ability to transform. Words have the ability to change a person's perspective. Words have the ability to change lives. Words have the ability to convince the doubtful that they really, really, really have value. Words have the ability to shift the very energy in the universe. This is why Black folks love that scripture, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In other words, you sit down to write, you are committing a divine act. Because when somebody else reads what you have written, the hope and the prayer is that what you have written will travel through time and through the universe and and transform another human heart. Make somebody want to live who thought they wanted to die. Make somebody want to stand up who thought it was time to give up. Make somebody want to shout who really thought there was nothing really to shout out. The power of a word is that it can literally transmute and synthesize information and give somebody the very, very real possibility of believing that it looks like nothing's going to work in my life. It looks like all odds are against me, and they are against me, but you're going to win anyway. Right? That's really what the word is. And that's what a writer is, a person who arranges words on a sheet of paper in order that those words might rearrange a life. That's what a real writer does. That's what a real writer does. And so when I think of black writers, great black writers today, Jasmine Ward, when I think of Ernest Gaines, when I think of Kaise Layman, when I think of Dolene Hubbard, when I think of T.R.E. Jones, when I think of Jericho Brown, when I think of, at the risk of humility myself, what we're really trying to do is to make sure that the baton that got passed to us from Toni Morrison, from Nikki Giovanni, from Maya Angelou, from James Baldwin, from Langston Hughes, from Alain Locke, etc., that we run our lap well. And because, see, in a minute, we got to hand this baton off to the anchor, and somebody's got to run this all the way home. But every book you read ought to get you a little closer to self-love. That's what I mean. Every book you read ought to teach you a little bit more about the power of black community. Every book we read is supposed to help us understand why we have to sacrifice for each other. Every book we read is supposed to make you put the gun down and say, hey, listen, no, we ain't got to handle that that way. No. Why would I shoot you and our grandparents were on a slave ship together? They paid for our lives. Somebody paid for our lives. And then I would take it so carelessly. That can't be right. That can't be right. And so the point of a book is that a book really is a seed. And what I mean by that is when a seed is planted, you don't get a seed back.
You don't.
The point of planting a seed is that the seed has the excellence of the fruit you need. But the seed has got to go into the ground because a conversation has got to happen between the earth, the rain, the sun. They got to talk about what this is. And then they're going to multiply it. They put your hope next to what the thing you put into the ground. And then it sprouts forth. And now you get it back in a multiplied fashion. And that's what I think of when I think of words, that somebody plants a seed in me by speaking a word over me, but I get the blooming of it. I get the harvest from it. And so all of that to say, I think black writers are the farmers, right? We're the ones who plant the seed, and we're the ones who are supposed to deliver the harvest unto a people, and unto a starving people, and unto a famined people, but also unto a glorious and a mighty people. And without farmers, without the word, the people die. Which is why I got up this morning and I was so happy that it was raining. Because see, when it rains, all I remind myself is somebody planted a seed. So the universe is helping you out.
Right.
Yeah, most people don't like rainy days. That means that you didn't plant nothing.
Somebody got to eat off that. Somebody waiting on that. It's eat to go.
And when it rains, God is saying, I agree with your seed.
So I'm going to give you the necessary tools.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For that thing to bloom and to blossom forth. Absolutely.
So powerful. Man, I know. And I'm sitting back, I'm sitting up, but I feel like I'm the kid in the classroom right now. I'm taking all this in. That's why, like, this isn't a normal podcast. This isn't going back and forth. This is more so listening, because just as the people behind the screen, I'm being taught something.
Sure. And so am I. You know, the four of you gentlemen are here on a Sunday afternoon. And when I look at you all, I get really encouraged as beautiful, handsome, brilliant young brothers who would travel as far as you did to come and do this interview and to do this work. It means that there are some young people who see a promise. There are some young people who know that there's some work to be done. And there are some young people we can depend upon as seniors in the community to really know and understand that the next leg of this run, of this relay is going to be run like hell. A lot of our worry has been like, oh my God, who are we going to pass this baton to? And so when I look at you, I'm like, oh, here he is. There he is. There he is, you know. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's going to work.
It go both ways, man. It's crazy. You spoke so much about novels, but I definitely want to bring one up in particular. How do novels like The Coming and the Don't Cry for Me help restore erased voices?
Well, even the point of a novel, the point of fiction really is to force people to imagine what you don't have. Fiction is not for entertainment. Fiction is to wrestle the incarceration of your mind and is to wrestle the chains away from your mind so that you begin to consider what you've never thought of before. That's the point of fiction, to introduce you to possibilities so that you then take those possibilities and turn them into reality. That's really what fiction is for, right? And so a novel like The Coming, you know, or any other novel I've written or anybody else, you know, the hope and the prayer is that somebody will read this novel and say, okay, I know what I want to major in now. I got it. Or somebody will read this novel and say, oh, damn, I cussed that brother out yesterday. Let me go back to him. Let me go back. Let me find him and let me repair that. Right. The hope of a novel is that a brother might say, you know what? I treated a sister really raggedy. I was not honorable. Let me find that sister and see if I can help repair her heart. Let me see if I can honor her better than I did. See, that's the point of a novel. Hopefully, you know, somebody writes about a relationship and it forces you to think about your own.
Yes, sir.
Right. So really, the whole point is to invite people to consider that the world as you know it, the reality as you know, is not the totality of all possibilities.
Yes, sir.
Right. That's really what a novel's for.
Hey, man. Powerful, 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 powerful. All right, man. We're in the last leg of the podcast, man, with Dr. Black, the Honorable Dr. Black, man. What psychological damage is done when history is erased or diluted, in your opinion?
When history is erased or diluted, it is extraordinarily important, and it's unbelievable damage is done. When a person doesn't know his or her history, they think their reality is the beginning of all things. They think their strength is the only strength they know. See, the danger of Black people not knowing our history is to believe that all the strength you have is the strength you possess. See, if we really knew our history and understood how our ancestors see us, and understood how our ancestors even conceived of spirit and spirituality, we would know that it's not you sitting there. There are really 5,000 people in that chair. You're one of them.
Talk now.
And see, if you understood that you got 5,000 with you, you'd understand that your chances of succeeding are far greater. But if it's just you, you could fail easily. I could give up easily, you know. But if we as Black people would really understand that the invisible power that pours to me, that pours in my direction, coming from my people, really guarantees my success. It guarantees it. But since most of our history has been erased, and most of us Black people don't even talk about it.
You know, I mean, you know, most of us talking about Jesus, you know, who is an ancestor. But still, the point here is, if we really understood our full inheritance, we would understand that we can access far more power than men do, and we would make riskier decisions because we would believe that the chances of us succeeding are far greater than we think. Right. The same thing I'll say about that very simply also is, when you erase history, it also means somebody's rewriting it. Right. And anybody who's rewriting it is rewriting it so that they might write themselves as the victor and the hero. The only reason to erase somebody's history is because you fear that somebody else will enjoy domination over you in a minute. Because as long as we stay ignorant of our history, we will understand ourselves as the underdog. We'll understand ourselves as minorities, quote unquote, in America, and we will treat America, right, as if it's the best thing we've ever known. when America is a very small part of the planet, a very small part, and enslavement is a very, 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 very small part of African history. All your difficulty, all your struggle, all your pain, all your frustration, all of it came to you so that on the day you recognize your genius, you would have a story to tell. Boring people whose lives are perfect never change the world. It's the people who messed up. It's the people who almost jumped off the roof. It's the people who thought they didn't want to live. It's the people who were broke. It's the people who were raped who absolutely end up changing the universe, because all of those circumstances is nothing but God absolutely pushing you to the edge so that you can discover just how strong you are. It's hard to discover how strong you are when no circumstances ever challenge you.